All right, let's turn our attentions to something else. My other guest is here. That is also one sticky point, the minimum wage in Nigeria, where other countries are talking about living wage. A minimum wage bill that was signed in 2019, I think, by President Muhammadu Buhari for minimum wage should be 30,000 naira in the country. If you take a look at 30,000 naira now, what is it in dollar terms? Dollarize it. Take your calculator and do that arithmetic, and you know what we're talking about. For a minimum wage, that food prices are the highest in 12 years. Unemployment rate is at 3%. We'll be talking more to Comrade Uchenna Ekwe. He's here at the table with me in a moment. Do join us. Hello, YouTubers. Welcome to Moneyline with Nancy TV YouTube channel. This is where we provide you with instructive business directions, processes, and guidance to help you assess the right resources to fund your businesses to withstand every form of internal and external shock. You will find here awesome informative videos on business, entrepreneurship, and lifestyle just to help you make informed business and financial decisions. Punch the subscribe button and let us drive you through the world of business. Please follow all our social media platforms on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and follow us for latest updates on our website. Welcome back. Comrade Uchenna Ekwe is joining me right here. He's the head of the Department of International Relations and Liaison to the National Assembly of the Nigerian Labour Congress. He was also a former member of the House of Representatives from 1999 to 2003. Let's delve into another sticky issue, the issue of the minimum wage. Comrade, welcome to the program and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Where are we right now? Because it seems as we wake up every morning, there's always a new development. So where are we right now? I think, was it last week there were some protests? So where are we really right now?
You know, I'm happy I listened to your intro and the challenges. And now, in the face of that, some people woke up and now feel, oh, this minimum wage is even too much. And the states where some 9 governors, because we have the information properly, it's not all the governors, felt that they should have an opportunity to probably, if they like, fix the minimum wage at 5,000 naira. Yeah. And all of us know the state of most of the state assemblies, where whatever the governor brings is rubber stamped, no interrogation, even lack of capacities. And so you definitely look at a case where maybe you will not be shocked to see states that will fix minimum wage at 5,000 naira. But narrow even more by the sponsors of the bill and those who are having that thought is that they never realize that apart from federal and state workers, that there are workers who don't work for either state or federal government. The figures of unemployment, if we break down those figures, those that are in private employment, if you remove them, it will be much, much of a higher figure. And these people, many work for foreign companies. And of course, you know that the whole idea of any businessman is profit maximization. And if any government or a nation shows that they are not ready to protect the most vulnerable, of course, those companies that come into the country can as well choose to fix their minimum wage at nothing and make a slave wage. And I'm happy you made the point. Countries are driving at talking about living wage. And at this point, some people feel, oh, so that we can have an opportunity, do with minimum wage with what we like at the state, then that the minimum wage should be migrated from the exclusive legislative list to concurrent list, which by implication now allows states to fix the wages for its workers. That's the concept and the driving force. But like I said, and they never give a thought to those workers who neither work for the state, and that is why in the fixing of the minimum wage, the tripartism comes to the table, which includes the governors. and the private employers. So that is what brought back the minimum wage to the fore.
What experience have we seen since 2019 till date in terms of states' ability to pay the minimum wage? Because President Buhari signed the bill in 2019. Apart from the federal government, I should think that the federal government is paying the minimum wage. But what kind of experience have we seen, at least in the last 2 years now? Because some states did say at that time that they were going to pay minimum wage. Some states struggled at that time, saying that they did not have the ability to pay because internally generated revenue in their states were quite low. So what has been the experience between that time and now?
Yeah, you know, it's always very interesting when because that has been the key question, the ability to pay. And you know that in primary economics, that's the first, maybe the second, in secondary school, maybe the second lesson comes scale of preference, opportunity cost, and choice. Of course, it's what you make a priority. There is never an ability to do anything, all the things. You will choose the things you want to do. Many of the governors who make the arguments on the ability to pay have up to 1,000 personal assistants who none earn less than 50,000 a month, doing no single job that adds value to the economy of the state, but are useful in political electoral period to either manipulate or hijack or deliver results the way they use the word. Some have gone to do white elephant projects that have no bearing in the state, including airports that are never used. So when people talk about ability to pay, it is clearly a matter of choice of what you want to do. We have seen in situations where some states buy, if you check the federation account allocation, even their internal generated revenue still pay minimum wage or no salaries. I'm talking now about our experience.
Okay, because
for example,
did you as a body do the mathematics?
Oh yes, we did.
The IGR of those states,
yes,
in terms of billions of naira. That
why would we not know? The workers are there on ground. You take, for example, a state like Jigawa State is not owing salary. It's up to date in minimum wage, and even the consequential adjustment in salaries. No pension is owed, no gratuity is owed.
One would say the population of Jigawa, you can't compare it to like a Delta or a Lagos.
Yeah, but when you take off a Delta, you also compare with what Delta earns in a federation account. Delta capacity in internal generated revenue. Because those balances out. These states are very high in internal generation capacity. Many a times, states does not mop up all the things they generate internally, simply because the internal generation is done by political friends, that the money does not go into the account of the state, but some individuals become multimillionaires collecting the revenue of the state. Instead of streamlining the revenue collection, in a way it goes to the state. For example, in 2015 or thereabout, Edo State, because I will use an example of the one I know when Adams became governor, had an internal generation capacity of 350 million, but moved it to 1.7 billion, and nothing new was added. And that was why they were able to move their minimum wage. When 18,000 was paid, they were paying 25,000. And the state government have maintained that increase up to now. They've gotten to 2-point-something billion. And that was a state that was generating 350 million. What was the difference? the generation now goes into the state coffers. So state must determine to take their revenue, not to give it to political friends and hangers on, who takes the money and doesn't put into the state account. And the labor movement, the NLC in the state have offered advice and the readiness to help in the areas of leakages so that the funds will be generated. And when they are generated, you hear all kinds of bogus figures. And like I said, many of the states, some have up to 1,500 personal assistants to the governor. How do you reconcile with that?
What has the relationship been with the National Assembly since you're a former member, since last week that the protest happened, in terms of, because the National Assembly, the House of Representatives is going through a process right now whereby the states will set their own minimum wage. What has been that kind of liaison between the NLC and the National Assembly on these issues?
Very cordial. First of all, is to clarify that this bill is a private member bill. So it is not the position of the National Assembly. It is an individual. And going the historical back, almost every government since 1999 have attempted to do this. One of the reasons to some is to weaken what they perceive is the strength of the labor movement, and which will keep warning them. In a nation that is getting more and more divided every day, we need national institutions that will at least try to bind this nation that everybody, including political office holders, people who have been ministers of the Federal Republic, even people who have all been to very unimaginable positions, recoiling back to become tribal warlords, sectional power brokers. Don't tamper with national institution that unites the people. That's one aspect. Some other, under the misguided push of the so-called true federalism, which we have also tried to show them that our first example where we want to copy a true federal state is the United States. And then they have a national minimum wage. Because the target is to save the most vulnerable in the society. That's why
President Biden is even talking about increasing it because of the pandemic.
That was his first. In fact, President Obama, when they had the economic recession, the huge one of the things Obama did was to increase the minimum wage as a means of reflating the economy, to reflate the American economy. That was part of the advice the economic team gave, and they did. Because if you want to boost manufacturing and do all those, and people who have expendable income, which is what salary gives to the workers, are not even able to buy those things to manufacture, the industries will even collapse. And they reasoned and cautiously as a nation did that as a takeoff.
How does this affect the private people? Because the number of people that government also employs in the country are not as huge as those employed by the private sector, and even the SMEs. You understand what I mean?
Yeah,
so how does this translate to the private companies? Or
that's good.
Private firms.
And that is what will interest you, that it is the state governors, some state governors, that are pushing for this. The private companies, during the negotiation of the minimum wage, because the law prescribing minimum wage from the ILO to the national law always try to take it to cognizance during negotiation. It's not an award. It's always negotiated. It tries to take into cognizance the issue of ability to pay. We propose 67,000 naira.
Yes, then.
Yes. But during negotiation, where the issue of ability to pay started coming on, we later did an adjustment to 45,000. The private sector, fully represented, now say, we understand there's a need to move this, but we would prefer it to be at 30,000. And we did a concession. So there's always a discussion before the minimum wage is agreed. Because in the first place, if you even talk about working, with all your brilliant ideas, with all the enthusiasm of this work, if this money you needed to borrow money to take transport to come here, the spirit will not be the same thing. It cannot be. Your productivity cannot be. If somebody who have 4 children in the house, and maybe the woman is the only one working, or maybe the man is the only one working, that or else...
At least in Nigeria now, men work more than women.
Yes.
The statistics I got.
Yeah, so that means the man who earns 30,000 naira a month needs 1,000 for that family per day for everything. Water, electricity, food, his transportation to work. What state of mind would that man or woman be at the workplace? And somebody is still thinking. And some of the people who are thinking this are people who have about 30 vehicles in their convoy and fuel them. And that same man turns back to tell the same persons who have workers in that level, even inside the government house, who sees the wastages, and you turn back and tell that man that you don't have ability to pay.
The question now is, I don't know if it's even more of an economic question or even moral question, because just like you put it right now, the ability to pay, the governors or the state governments will say, these are our challenges, we may not have the ability to pay, what have you, but you see some of the excesses around them. That brings me to the issue or the question of, as we round up, how many states have been able to pay 30,000 naira minimum wage?
We have only 4 states who are having issues with it.
Only 4 states?
Yes.
Okay, so
and people also miss it. The minimum wage of 30,000 does not mean the states pay the same thing. It's only saying this is the states negotiate their own adjustment. But touching the equation, we're having a good work, the earlier question, with the National Assembly. The National Assembly have consistently, since 2003, rejected attempt to remove the minimum wage. And we're still talking with them.
Okay,
yes.
Let's see how it goes, because if we're talking about this, and just to put in some kind of perspective, to dollarize it, like I always say, that minimum wage of 30,000 naira, if we take the parallel market rate of 485, it should be around $62 a month. Then if you take 410, which is the I&E window rate, you should be getting about $73 for a month. So let's see how it goes. I wish you all well, and thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Today. All right, I'll be speaking with Honorable Comrade. Let me go with Comrade.
Yes.
Yes, let me go with Comrade.
Yeah, very comfortable with that.
Comrade Uchenna Ekwe, Head of Department of International Relations and Liaison to the National Assembly of the Nigeria Labour Congress. So many acronyms. Nigeria Labour Congress, who was also a former member of the House of Representatives from 1999 to 2003. That's the much you can take on today's edition of the program. Please join us again tomorrow. I am Nancy Naji. Be the best you can be with the change you want to see by now. Thank you for watching our video. Please hit the subscribe button below, turn on post notification to follow all our updates.